For thousands of years, the Hmong people have practiced one of its most important traditions. Hmong Shamanism, which is also known as Ning, is considered to be a religion that heals the sick through spiritual healing. A shaman is believed to be the mediator that communicates between the human world and the spiritual world. He or she can contact many spirits to help identify the cause of a person's sickness and then find ways to heal it. Typically, a shaman ritual takes place in the home of the sick person. These rituals tend to last from about 2 to 5 hours and require some sort of animal sacrifice for the spiritual entities. After the ritual is over, a feast is prepared to celebrate and honor the shaman for a successful ritual. For the Hmongs who live in the mountains of Laos and Thailand, Hmong Shamanism continues to thrive as a significant tradition of the Hmong culture. However, for those who immigrated to the US, the religion and its meanings become a question of concern when they're exposed to many different religions and influenced to adopt the American culture. To find out how some Hmong people have maintained their religious traditions, I attended a spiritual healing for a far distant relative in Sacramento who was suffering from stomach pains. Before the shaman is able to perform the ritual, he must have all of his spiritual necessities. First, an altar must be set up to acknowledge and seek help from the spirits of the ancestors. Second, a bench, which signifies a horse in which the shaman will ride, must be built so he or she can travel to and in the spiritual realm. And lastly, the shaman will need his spiritual tools: divine split horn to communicate with the spirits, a spiritual sword to fight with the evil spirits, a spirit rattle to hold everything together, a pair of finger bells to heal the sick, a gong, and for some, a pair of cymbals to call upon his healing spirits. It appears that in this community, the religion still holds some strong importance to the people. Both the elders and the youth participate in the tradition by watching the ritual, assisting the shaman, hitting the gong, and clashing the cymbals. When it comes to one of the most intense part of the ritual, all of the youth and elders were aware of the responsibilities of how to assist the shaman. During this time, the spirit of the sick had already wandered off into a potential grave and settled itself there. The shaman must bring him back. In doing so, the shaman walks to the backyard where the spirits of the dead would be feasting. There, he places himself in the grave that the sick person has found. By shaking, he wakes up the spirit. As he gets up and walks back inside, the shaman brings back the spirit of the sick person to the home of his ancestors. He then tosses the rattle and spiritual sword to the ground to hold the spirit inside the home and protect it from other spirits that may try to take him away. While the men are assisting the shaman, the women are busy preparing for the feast after the ritual. Although I understand that the main purpose of Hmong shamanism is to heal people, I still want to know more about what the religion is and how it came about. In my attempt to find the answers, I decided to talk to several elders and youth in the Sacramento Hmong community.
Yêu ninh thì kia ninh thì ý dạng này cứ giờ giờ có lặng ô rồi trang thời có hai ô là gì giờ mua mắm gì thì giờ có thì trang ninh cả chỉ tàu thì có ô chỉ trong.
It's a practice that the Hmong people have practiced over thousands of years. It's where we believe that in Hmong culture we believe that Hmong folks have spirits, and if someone was to get sick, we call upon a Hmong shaman.
Hmong shamanism is there. It's a practice that's within our religion, and our religion is actually ancestral veneration.
So Hmong people believe in a spiritual world, and I guess what shamanism is a connection to that. It's a connection from the real world into the spiritual world.
It's not. I don't really know what the
Exactly.
name. Okay, getting shamanism now. Shamanism is such a broad term. Of course, Benjing had budget bang more spirits, Benjing than don't more shad. That's shamanism. Yes, when we're talking about that's not. I don't think that's shamanism. It's just a broad term. Somebody apply to us. So anyway, to translate shamanism, they yes on the general meaning. They like Hmong believe in shamanism. They call Christian after Jesus, right? Jesus Christ, right? To better translate Hmong kind of Hmong ritual, not that it would be Shiism. I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the purpose of Shiyi, not that in order to understand it better, it has to go back to our first story now. Còn tu mà mua này nó giờ sâu bây giờ mua giờ nhung hay một gì nữa. There are many other characters too. None of them are either good or bad. They're just doing their roles, nah? Okay. Giờ sow's purpose is to give life reincarnations, nah? Ji Nyong's role is just the protector. He's not a bad guy according to like many people believe that. Okay. He's just doing his thing. She to take life, huh? Okay. As part of the cycle. She to cure life, not like gives back life. We're not talking about reincarnation. We're talking about more more for whatever reasons there is. Anyway, thao u de more na toning lu nhau hong bạc tê lu pi nhau hong bạc tê nó de toning nó chopป้อนthe term will be sinful, you know. They have sin. So they do crazy things. At least they did crazy things. Teshima or the Yanyong got irritated. Yanyong got irritated because of man's desire to destroy themselves. The Yanyong just draw lumalu to from that day. No, they don't repeat to na. Okay, I'm just summarizing. Kuchi hanandao kuma summarize. The so many bao the so many Josh you don't go more process the reverse na. The you have to even though it to pay to Chizong, they're just doing the job, but I to get a piece na. I to get a piece the other get a pea or plow no pea or plow. Tôi sĩ gì xong tu thì giờ xong một trò lụi chở là tết tôn này để bố hạt tạ nếu muốn đàn lăng chẳng đàn cái tết sĩ nó xong hay nếu mua bố trả lâu họ mặc cốt trồ nó họ mặc cốt trồ đấy it's just
có một trồ
it's just iluna bottle potion kiểu mà life là khăn của tôn này thế nào. Basically, come and translate it. So, she yi lu sang du lu de she yi yo go pu to neng nhắm là tên à để mới tụt tụ. Để giờ nhau nhớ sang du để giờ mới tụt xài, nó. She yi tụt tụ để họ, so she 真 trong go. để sĩ tụ tu nhập lại tế cho nên một thật thẳng tao dạy nhông tụ sai nè để bị ông cao ông giàu để at the same time sĩ ha dạy nhông tụ chuyển sinh du là so nhá nhá mỗi inu để sĩ dạy nhông sao mô sĩ to nè là giờ sao phê cho sĩ nè để dạy nhông lang ta dạy nhông tụ tu sau còn tụ mò hay có sĩ một khu nè so sĩ mong sao để mà ổn định ha để tu sĩ tu một thằng dạy nhông tuần sai để dạy nhông ha tu mua sĩ tu giúp tiền để cha là nè ok để sĩ mong khu dạy nhông tu để thao mà để ổn định mà biết sự tôn bố này nhở để nó dạy nhông mua sĩ tu cái này muốn giúp tiền muốn để cha họ muốn cho một thọ cho nằm bộ nè then they kill the bull. Okay, they tu to nè, tu to là they chỉ tu to là tu chỉ bao à để dùng xài tu hồng cao, cho nên là chỉ có số nọ, hay là có tu nè, thì mà đã tu nọ ta nè. Sau chỉ mang để khai thác trong đất tế, thì chỉ lúc dùng đàn tu là hàng chẳng phụ chỉ tu ông cha mông còn tu lại spirits. Thì ai khu mà chẳng là chi rong, thì tu xa lại hai đôi sĩ là cú chi màu ta thì mà có một cú để nó gạt nọt ta để cú to là cú tàu màu thì chỉ hiện tại chỉ để ai xa lại lũ trong đất chế để mua tu hát thang ta mua bên con ruột ta thì đó các một son tu mua blog bây giờ nhiều lắm. So tu sĩ còn tu này it ends there. We don't know what's going on now up there. Okay, that's the belief. So, on this she talk about the new modern that need to na ni chợ tao tôi nên ta tên nhiều mong sau nè bây giờ thì new modern ta này ha, ni chân ta này ni chợ tuyên liên tuyên dài, lại trồng đặt tê để lên từ một số mong rong, lại lên từ lúa rù lu, lại lên từ cho rong để khởi tàu symbolically ni khởi tàu sĩ gì cho tụi tuyên liên tuyên dài hả nè, cho lục khu nó cho lục khuต้น này thì xí má biết chỉ mua này nó phơi phơi rong lấy cái gì là biết cho khởi tàu tụi nan này cho lục chinh chinh ra biết khu tàu tụi rong sức biết khu tàu tụi tổ nè biết khu tàu tụi mỏ sức giờ tổ là để biết chợ tàu cho ăn đồ lấy cái tụi sĩ còn tốt này. So basically Hmong Shamanism thì giờ là họ sao.
After hearing about the story of Shi Yi, I finally realized that I wanted to know what Hmong Shamanism means to the second generation.
To me, I see like the practices and the traditions and the gatherings of shamanism, I see it as a way of socialization. So while I was younger, and my parents would always take us to the gatherings, to our relatives' gatherings, and that's how you got socialized into, you know, your family and your extended relatives. You know, you got to see their kids, you got to see who they were, you got to see just the different parts of your family. So it was very important for me because I was always taken to these things and I was always taught the values. Like as a boy, you have to, you know, you have to go and you have to do these, or this is how you're supposed to greet yourself or greet others. This is how you're supposed to carry yourself. And you also realize who the important people are within your family.
I learned from it. I learned where he is going into the spirit world. What, I learned, he speaks, when he's doing the ritual, he speaks Hmong and Chinese language. Well, only a little bit of Chinese, but mostly all Hmong. So when he needs something, he will tell us in Hmong.
Okay, so my role as a son and a grandson of a Hmong shaman is pretty much just to be there, and like I said, to be there, support them, and to do whatever they want me to do. And the thing that we do the most as sons are to wake up early in the morning to go go slaughter the pigs or the cows or the goats or whatever it is and bring it home. And then after they're done with the chants, we chop it into pieces, and then we just cook it.
The guys do work too, like they'll kill the pig or whatever that they're killing, that they're sacrificing, and then they're cutting meat or whatnot. But the women, they're mostly just prepping and cooking, and so that's what I've always grown knowing, that I should do like certain chores. I guess that's what I've grown knowing, and so I don't really know what what really goes on during the rituals, because that's more like just the men. As a kid, when it happens, you're just kind of there to play around, and then as middle school, you're kind of like shy, and then high school comes along, and then when those kind of stuff happens, you're more like doing the chores. So I guess being away from home and when you go back and, when they call you, be like, hey, you need to come home because we are doing a ritual. And you go back and, you kind of see it and you kind of take into perspective, because when you come to college, I think that your mentality does change and does grow in some ways. And so when I go back, I think since I've been in college, so like the past 5 years or so, I've learned to like respect it and learn to value it a lot more, just because I'm able to like feel confident enough to ask like my dad, as I said earlier, like what exactly is going on or why we do certain things that we do. And so I guess that's when it became more valuable or more important in my eyes.
I'm going to have to say that if you really care about who you are, like if you want to keep your roots, they should know more about it and be open-minded, or at least be open to the idea that Shiji spirits could come to you,
Being Hmong, this religion is what really defines who you are, how Hmong you are. And if you don't practice this, even if you don't practice this, you are still considered Hmong, but it's something that's really, really big. And so, yes, it would define how Hmong or how traditional you are in this sense.
Well, for me, I don't think there's much of a difference versus male and female. I think that for me is if I was a male, I think it would still mean the same to me. It will still be a big part of me and who I am and my roots. So I don't think there's much of a difference, but I guess me not being a shaman, I guess I can't really tap into what it is exactly, but I just know that it is a big part of who I am.
I think it defines how traditional you are, but I don't think how it defines how Hmong you are, because being Hmong is a very dynamic term, and it changes with every generation, and it changes with different economies, and it changes with like geography. So being Hmong here is very different from being Hmong, let's say, in Laos or Thailand or in China or in anywhere else you go. It's very different.
For caring yourself, it's easier to go to Rite Aid and get some painkillers than trying to explain why your head is hurting, Every religion is not logical. And like I said, we are more educated in here, and everything is based on logic, okay? And it just so happens that the people who grew up here are more logical than the old folks. And that's the one thing that okay? It doesn't make sense. Yeah, any religion doesn't make sense.
Being that we're in like the American culture, a lot of Hmong families are not just, the religion isn't just shamanism now. It's like it goes so far from just being shaman. It goes, like, some people are Catholic, some Hmong people are Catholic, some Hmong people are Mormons, and so I guess in that way, like it has changed because not every Hmong person is, believes in shamanism.
With our American and our Western lifestyle, it really draws us away from the home, really draws us away from the household to go and go to school, go find jobs, and sometimes the economy will take you even outside of the state. Sometimes even outside of your city. Even though the parents who are the Hmong parents who aren't considered elders, but they're still, they're the ones with kids, with 4 or 5 kids, and they're like 50s, 40s. They themselves are still very integrated within America. They have jobs, they have cars, they have houses. Their lifestyle is very different already, and them being that involved into, this new economy, they're not really carrying out the true tradition and the ways of shamanism. So even within that population, you already start seeing a change. It is only the very elders that still know and still holds the very extreme shamanism view.
Because we came to the U.S. and we got assimilated, they think that that's the only way we should be able to live now, and that our traditional and cultural ways are backwards, and so that's why they think it's nothing, it's useless. I think that there are two very different sides to the new generation. There are those who are totally Americanized and assimilated now, and so they don't understand anything at all in regards to the religion and the practices. But there are those who grew up in families like I did, right? And so they know the values of it, and there are those who are picked to become shamans by the spirits, and so they totally understand the responsibility about it.
If you yourself want to practice it and your parents don't encourage you or whoever's raising you don't really give you that space to learn, then that might be an obstacle or a challenge that you face. Because if you want to learn about it or you want to go into it, and whoever's raising you or whoever you're around with the most aren't into that and they don't really give you that knowledge of what it is, then I think that will be an obstacle that you will come in terms with.
Obviously, a lot of Hmong people are scattered throughout the country and throughout the globe, and they're becoming more integrated within the country that they do live in now, and so they do see that religion dying. So I guess this is a way of trying to revive it back by having people who want to become one learn to become one, so that they could carry it on, because obviously those type of people have a very strong passion for it. So this is just a way of keeping it alive, and I don't think it contradicts the validity of it, because even now it's mixed. Like we use part shamanistic healing, and also we use modern medicine. So I don't think it will in any way affect the validity of it, because we already use half and half right now.
They have to be willing, because it's not gonna there is no easy solution, right? For anything that's cultural or anything that has to do with socially based things. I think it's the willingness of the participant.
I think we should, as parents, they don't really explain a lot to their kids, and which leaves the kids or the younger generations puzzled. And so if we were to explain to them explicitly and to tell what's going on and to tell how important this is, then maybe they might just change, or they might just help out. Not a lot, maybe a little.
After seeing that there's still some significance of the religion for some of the second generation, whether it's for the respect of the elders, the respect of the community, or for the respect of the culture itself, it makes it hard to actually determine whether the religion is dying or not. And so there's this idea called segmented assimilation, where it kind of needs to be taken into perspective. And after reading articles about this concept, I finally realized that it applies really well to how the second generation is, I guess, maintaining or trying to maintain these cultural traditions. So Alejandro Cortez and Menzu wrote about this concept, and it basically talks about 3 different types of assimilation. And for the first type, the first assimilation, it's basically where many of the immigrant communities or immigrant groups basically totally assimilate into the white culture or the American culture. And in this way, they do this so that they can assimilate, so they can get into the white middle class. And by doing this, they basically abandon everything that they have of their culture, or everything they know about their culture, just so they can be a part of the white middle class. For the second type of assimilation, it's the exact opposite of the first. They don't try to assimilate, and they basically just stay where they're at. And by doing this, they also maintain their economic status as the underclassmen or the lower classmen. So both of these two are kind of like hard for the immigrant youth, or you can say for the refugee group or the Hmong youth to relate to. They don't want to fully assimilate, and they also don't want to not assimilate. And so it comes up to this third idea where their concept, their type of assimilation, where they assimilate so that they can gain some economic status and upward mobility, while also preserving their culture and connecting with the ethnic community that they're affiliated with. And so in this sense, you see that the youth are trying to balance between school and balance between the cultural expectations of them and the traditions of the religion of Hmong Shamanism. So it also goes to show that, if the youth do not have that exposure to the Hmong shaman community, or they're not as involved in the shaman community, they would probably think that the religion is dying. But for many of the youth who I've talked to, they are really involved and really, they still connect with the traditions a lot. And so for them, the religion doesn't seem like it's dying, although they do see that some youth are kind of straying away from this practice. It doesn't mean that there still isn't any significance to it. There are still some strong significance of this religion to the youth that we may not know and we may not understand. And so for right now, you can say the main causes of the of the youth's kind of like looking away or not following or not trying to give that much attention to the religion is because, one, Western medicine, because of the access to it and the availability, and how it's much easier going to the store to buy these medicine versus trying to perform a whole ritual just to determine what's wrong with you. That kind of draws them away from the religion in a sense. And then another cause is the fact that there's all these different religions that also resides with Hmong Shamanism in America. So Mormonism, Catholicism, Christianity, all these other religions are basically different beliefs or different options that the second generation can turn to. And so the variety that we have here in America kind of makes it seem as if Hmong Shamanism isn't really there. And because the American society tends to have really no emphasis on Hmong Shamanism, it makes the youth think that this religion is dying out. In a sense, it depends on the community where you come from, whether you're really involved in the Hmong Shaman community, as I said earlier. And the last to take into perspective is that, for many of these youth, they think the religion isn't important, or they think it isn't as significant anymore because they don't have this knowledge that's given to them about how it started and what it really means. And so this lack of understanding that they're not getting, or that the parents or the elders are not offering to them, kind of takes them away from trying to fully understand what it is and how significant it is to the culture and what the religion means. So all of these three factors are kind of pulling away, or makes it seem as if our second generation is pulling away from the traditions of the first generation, or the traditions of our ancestors. Yet you can't actually determine whether the religion is dying or not. So these are the main three factors that are the most important in kind of pointing out why some second generation may not be as affiliated, may not be as involved with the religion as the other generations were. So during my research, it made me realize that, as a woman, because I am going to marry into another family, or marry into another, you can say another, if there's other cultures that I'm interested in, I'm going to marry into those different cultures. And so most of my parents my parents do not think that I will practice this tradition or this religion, or that I will not worship the same ancestors as them. And so I always had this idea that I am not as important, or the religion, my parents don't think the religion is as important to me. But doing this research and talking to my grandparents, talking to many of these elders, it made me realize that, I think even though I might not know as much as my brothers, because they go to all these religious parties and these ceremonies and rituals, and they actually sit down and listen to what is going on during the trance while the shaman is trying to cure someone or entering the spirit realm. I may not know what is going on, but I still want to find out, and I want to maintain this understanding of Hmong Shamanism, and try to pass it down to my children and pass it down to other youth too, so that they understand that even though they may not fully understand what's going on, it's still important to acknowledge the fact that there is some significance to it. This religion somewhat defines what Hmong people are and what they have been doing for so many years now. So as a woman, it has encouraged me to understand more, and to try to collect all these different ideas and all these different practices and these different perception or perspectives of Hmong Shamanism, and disperse it to the Hmong community everywhere, whether it's Hmong Shamanism community or the Hmong Christian communities, the second generation or the first generation. I want to disperse, and I want to spread this knowledge to them, so that they know that even if they may not be as involved, there is something about this tradition that still lives on and has a strong impact and influence